Welcome to Apocryphon, the hidden teachings of the martial arts. I'm Kurt Sussman. Throughout recorded history, mankind has been practicing, studying, and perfecting the martial arts. We have all been amazed at the skills of adept practitioners, and hardly a movie can be seen that doesn't showcase martial skill somewhere. In this video, we're going to dive a little deeper into the very heart of the martial arts, which is a study of conflict itself. And conflict is the common denominator in the struggle for existence for all life. What the martial arts promises is the ability to handle the maximum amount of adversity with a minimal amount of effort. In other words, there's always a way for the underdog to win. Life is struggle, and if we apply the teachings of the martial arts to the adversities in our lives, the results can be profound. Join me now as we explore the hidden teachings of the martial arts. To prepare for battle, the first consideration we need to address is balance. If we are off balance, we are unable to mount an adequate offense or defense. On a less literal note, we need to strive for personal balance as well to be effective in our lives. There are three areas that need to be addressed in order to achieve balance and personal effectiveness in our lives: physical, mental, and spiritual. Most of us are aware that in order to maximize our physical potential, we need to address cardiovascular endurance, strength, and flexibility. We build mental strength by the multitasking we all do in our busy lives. We are all well aware of how to handle multitudes of tasks and information simultaneously. Spiritual development is less clear to some of us. It is the inverse to mental training. In spiritual training, we focus on a singularity to the exclusion of all other stimuli. Whether it is a mental image, a sound, or a physical object, we hold this item in our awareness and remain present in the now moment and work to keep our attention from straying. By maintaining balance between these aspects and working to build our reserves proportionately, we maximize our personal effectiveness. Man is the consummate tool user. Just having these tools, however, is not enough. We must train constantly with our tools, whatever they may be, in order to be effective with them. Through consistent practice, we build familiarity along the neural pathways and thereby minimize the time delay between thought and action. Ultimately, we become one with the tool, and its usage becomes one of pure emotional feel. We must also maintain consistency in our practice to prevent the decay of our skills through inactivity. By consistent practice, application, and evaluation, we become masters of our craft. In order to be effective at anything, we need to choose the proper tool. And in martial arts, the primary consideration for determining this is range or distance. We need to decide if we need a long-range weapon or a close-range one. And as martial arts is defensive in nature, it will be the opponent's move that will decide this. If the opponent attacks with a long-range kick, we close the distance and take him to the ground. It's silly to fight a shark in the open water, but if you drag him onto the beach, out of his element, you've rendered him helpless. In keeping with this philosophy, we need to take note of the motion of the attack as well, whether it is linear or circular. If the opponent attacks with a line, we respond with a circle, and vice versa. The idea is to blend with a force, not clash with it, and to negate the attack with a minimal amount of force. Let's look at some specific examples of how this works. most basic martial arts principle is lightning. With this principle, the potential energy builds and then explodes into action. The action can be linear or circular, but in its most basic form, it is linear. The second principle is complementary to the first, and this is the principle of wind. The nature of wind is circular, and its force overwhelms and knocks us off balance. The next martial principle is fire. Fire is known for its attachment, for fire cannot exist without something to attach to. Fire is reflected in the contact applications of joint locking techniques. The last principle, and the highest level of all, is that of water. Obviously, it is the counter principle to fire. Water is also known for its circular nature, its balance upsetting force, but also for its suffocating qualities. The water principle is exemplified in the techniques of circular blending, off-balancing takedowns, and submission holds. We can see that when we're attacked, there will always be an opening created. As we become more skilled, we become more adept at seeing and capitalizing on those openings. That being said, it should be obvious that initiating the first strike should always be our last resort. This is the reason for the defensive nature of the martial arts, as we strive to negate an attack, ultimately even before it begins. It is often said that the highest degree of martial arts is not in defeating an opponent, but in turning an opponent into an ally. Whatever the situation, whatever the attack, there is always a counter move, and this counter will upset the very balance structure of the attacker. Now, this doesn't mean that we will always win in every situation, but the winning move is there. It's simply up to us to find it. In the end, it doesn't matter what the opponent does. What matters is how do we react to it. For ultimately, life situations don't make us who we are. They reveal who we were all along. I'm Kurt Sussman. Thanks for watching Apocryphon, the hidden teachings of the martial arts.